Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, I'm Jane. My husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life here in France. And every Wednesday we invite you in for a mid-week money chat. So let's take a look at what we're going to talk about today. Now, we all live busy lives. We're always trying to fit so much into our weeks, and it can be incredibly hard even if we are organised people. But if we're not organised, it is so easy to forget things. It's so easy to forget those things, and they can end up costing us money. So we don't get the car in for a service on a regular basis. When we'd have to, the next thing you know, we're taking it to be repaired. And that's costing us more money. Not looking after things, not paying bills on time, not looking out for those insurance renewals, not looking out for those better deals, not remembering to do things like get our eyes tested on time. There are many, many things. So today's about those essential organisational skills. Some of those refer to our everyday lives, and the last 5 refer to our budgeting and how we organise that. Let's get started on the first. The very first, and I think the most important, essential organisation skill that we all need, and I promise you, let me get this to the point, it will save you money, is to keep a diary. Now, how you keep your diary is absolutely up to you. You could be using Google Calendars, you could be using an online app, you could use a wall chart, you could use a good old-fashioned diary. It doesn't matter. It's the one that works for you and the one that you are going to actually use and look at. Now, I don't know about you, but my mother always did something at the beginning of the year, and she got her calendar out just after Christmas, didn't she? And she put the certain dates in it that meant something to you. And it is something that we can all do. I like a good old-fashioned wall chart calendar, and getting on that first thing. All the birthdays, we all knew those. When my children were at school, and obviously when I was teaching, all of the term dates, all of the training days as well. When your school is going to be open, but your children are not going to school. And then there's all those things that are going to cost you money. All the dental appointments need to go on there, because usually after your last dental appointment, you book your next one for 6 months or 12 months down the line. When you have your eyes tested, you say, right, I'll be back in a year or 2 years, I'll have my eyes tested again then. Those things, those medical appointments, getting them in there. You can often wait a few weeks for a medical appointment. Get them on the calendar. We here in France don't just walk in and not pay. We have to hand over a credit card. We have to hand over money. So we need to be financially prepared for those things. Things that are also very important to get on there are warranty dates. When you bought the car, when did you buy the car? You've got so many months or years warranty. Same again for anything like a lawnmower, a sewing machine, a cooker. Any of those come with a set period of time with a warranty. And if it's starting to look a bit flaky, it's time to take it back to the manufacturer 10 months early, not afterwards. So one of the biggest, best, essential organisational skills that you can have, and I promise you it will save you money, is developing your diary writing and diary keeping skills. And point 2 is going to be how you manage that. Now, going on from point 1, it would be very, very easy at the beginning of the year to populate your entire diary, put it in the drawer and ignore it. What we need to do if we're essentially organised, and we're going to make sure we're not going to waste money, that we're going to do things in a timely manner, is we are going to set aside, I speak we here, Mike and I, we set aside time each week of organisational time. And for us, It's Sunday. So when we look at Sunday, we're looking at the week ahead. What do we have to do the week ahead? And then whilst we're there, we're looking at the rest of the month as well. And we're looking at future dates, things that are coming up. What do we need to pay for? What do we need to buy? That's our organisational day. And it doesn't take us long, an hour a week, to do a quick stock check, for example, and then look at our diary and then look at our timetable of what we're going to do for a week. But it's a piece of advice that I take upon board myself and I can share with you, and you can take it and use it if you like. I only offer suggestions, I never give instructions, of finding time in your week that you make it a habit. So whether it's every Friday night, every Monday morning, every Monday when you eat breakfast before you go to work, every Sunday. And I do it on a Sunday because Sunday's a bit of a lazy day for us. We don't get up so early. We're not up until about 8 a.m. and then we might sit around and have a coffee. And it's a time to look at the week ahead whilst we're sitting at the kitchen table and the calendar is on the wall, and we can look and say, what are we doing the week ahead? Because then we start the week ready, knowing these are the things that we have to do, save for or buy, and it does, in one way or another, save us money. Another essential organisational skill is to be able to do a stock check. Now, we do these on a cyclical basis. So every week I do a food stock check. Some weeks that's really in-depth. I take everything out the freezer and I also organise it and put everything back in again. I take everything out the larder. It's maybe got a bit sticky from the jam, maybe things, I give it a clean. But when I put it back in, when I'm doing that, I've not only written down everything that's in there, but I've reminded myself what's in there. Every now and then I do a stock check of clothing. Every now and then we do a stock check of what have we got in the shed? What have we got in the barn? So then we don't do things like buy two if we've already got something. Doing a stock check before I put winter clothes away at the beginning of summer, for example. And I can then think to myself, I've got 2 or 3 fleeces and one of them's looking a bit shoddy. I might look out for a new one in the autumn. Things like that. When I'm putting my clothing away, I might think to myself, these t-shirts, they need to become dusters. I might write on my list, I think if we're at the sales and we see some t-shirts, we might pick up some more t-shirts. But doing those stock checks, because I can promise you, I'm not a robot. I can forget the things I own. I can forget how many Tupperware pots I've got, and then I'm in the charity shop and I think, oh, these will be handy, forgetting I've got 4 already at home. So regularly stock checking what we have means I know where everything is. That's the starting point. I know what I've got, and from that I can work out what I need and only what I need. I think if I wasn't organised, I would forget what I had. And if I was out shopping, say I was in a charity shop, I might think, oh, well, that looks really lovely, and buy it. And then it might not be what I need. So an essential organisational skill that saves us all money, and I'm speaking here from Mike and I'm speaking personally, something that saves us money are very regular stock checks. If nothing else, the place gets a good tidy. The next one might seem a bit obvious, and it's a place for everything and everything in its place. Because I know when I tidy the house before I clean the house, the first thing I have to do is put everything back in its proper place. Now you think to yourself, well, how is that saving me money? Again, like doing a very regular stock check and keeping an inventory, I know where everything is. I therefore know what I need and what I don't need. I often can think to myself, I would like something, but it is by putting things back in its proper place. I know I have enough bags, I know I have enough scarves, I know I have enough jumpers. And then the most important thing for stopping me saving money is I don't lose things and I don't damage things. So it might sound a really silly thing. It might seem trivial for everything to have its proper place and everything to go back when you've finished it. But it just means you're looking after things. It means things don't get lost. And well, it would be a crisis point if you couldn't find something and you ended up going out to buy something just because you hadn't tidied up. So I know it sounds trivial, but it works for us. Everything in its place. So we're up to number 5, and number 5 is all about routines. Or we could say it's all about habits, it's all about money saving habits, it's all about good habits. Call it what you will. We have routines, all of us, don't we? We have our cleaning routines. When we have our cleaning routines, what we're doing is we're looking after things. We're making it last longer. Make it last longer. Been there before, haven't we? We have our maintenance routines. We're looking after things. We're looking after our cars. Really, it will devalue your car if you do not keep it clean. It will get into the seats. It will get ingrained in the carpets. It will discolour the car. So by looking after things, we do make them last longer. And having those regular routines means it doesn't build up, it doesn't overwhelm us, and it doesn't degrade. So having our cleaning routines and having our maintenance routines is an essential part of the organisation that we need in our everyday adult lives, whether we like it or not, and we don't like it a lot of the time. But looking after things like that and those regular routines will stop degradation and it will save us money. And now we get on to 5 essential organisational skills, and all of these are to do with money and how we manage our money. Now the first one is all about budgeting. And there's only 2 things we need to know with our budget, isn't there? And that's all the money coming in and all the money going out. Now we need to know all the dates of when the money is going to come in. And if you're paid on a weekly to weekly basis, that is a rolling program, isn't it? Lots of people in some countries are paid every 2 weeks. If you're in the UK and you receive things like child benefit, you might get it every 4 weeks, amounting to 13 payments a year, and how that money comes into your household. So we as a family, Mike and I, that's our family, we know we receive money on 15th, the 22nd and the last day of the month. And we know we have to close the financial floodgates and no money shall pass until all of that money is in, and then the first of the month, next month, then we can start to release that money into the wilderness. And it feels like that's the wilderness and where it goes. And the next part we need to know is every single bill. Now, throughout the month, we need to know when every single bill is going to go out and how much it is. So all the money coming in, we need to know that total figure. And all the money going out, we need to know the figure for each of them and when it's going to go out. And it still surprises me to this day that some people will not know that and they will forget that. They're busy, they don't keep on top of it, they don't keep on top of what's coming in and what's going out. It kind of drifts in and floods out, doesn't it? And it's not easy for everybody. And for Mike and I, it never used to be easy. It's something we've worked on, it's something we've practiced, and we've got better at it over time. But there are also other things that go out, not just your monthly bills. We have bills that we pay quarterly. We submit it's a kind of a tax return called social charge here. We submit that quarterly. Some people submit that monthly. And then we have our annual tax return. We know we have to fill that in May, which means by the end of April, we need to have all our financial paperwork up to date and ready to submit for May. We know then we have 3 property taxes that come in, and one's in October. We pay one in November. We pay one in December. We know our tax bill comes in August, and they take the money in September, October, November and December. So we pay it over incremental stages. So it's all of those. And wow, just putting that out there into the universe, that is a lot to be organised about. But we do need to organise it. We do need to be ready for it. All of these payment schedules are things that we need to be organised about. We don't pay our taxes on time. There's penalty charges. In the UK, if you don't submit your self-assessment on time, you will get a penalty for that. If you don't pay your bills on time, there's a penalty for that. So, those essential organisational skills. Know when all the money comes in, the dates of when it's come in, and all the dates of when it's going to go out. An essential organisational skill, should you choose to use it, something that we do, is to set up our savings. So our very first line on our budget is always the amount we save. Now we set ours, and it's just personal to us, and finances are personal. We set it to 10% of our overall monies coming in, and that's obviously after all deductions and taxations and social charges. The 10% of that we just immediately send off into our long-term savings. So however you want to organise that, it is an essential organisational skill. And I can tell you that very early on in our relationship, what we used to do was just think, well, all my bills are paid, and then I can spend my money on things that I like, and then I will save what is left. And then the car would need fixing, or then the kids would need something, or then something in the house would break, and all of a sudden it was feast or famine. All of a sudden us having to live off egg and chips and spend all of our money fixing the car. So an essential organisational skill, which is so important to us and that we share with you, and you can use it if you choose to do so, is set up your savings first. It might only be that you save a small amount, but setting that up first and not counting that money as your own. So you don't count the mortgage, that's not your own. You don't count the electricity bill, that's not your own, or the food bill, that's not your own, or your pensions, or any of those things, that's not your own. What you do when you send that money away into savings is you treat it like a bill. The money's gone at the beginning of the month, just like a direct debit, and it's a great organisational skill because it becomes a habit month after month after month, that those little increments that build up, and it's an essential skill. Now, number 8 follows on very well from number 7's set up your savings. That number 8 is setting up your sinking funds. Now, people call these things different names. Some people call them short-term savings pots. Some people call them a sinking fund because you build up the money, you pay for something, and it sinks down again. And the sinking funds for us are things that are definitely going to come through in the year. I'm definitely going to get 2 water bills a year. I'm definitely going to get 3 small property tax bills. I'm definitely going to get an income tax bill. I'm definitely going to get things like a car service payment. You see where I'm going with this? So, how do we work these out? We take these figures. So we take the figure, for example, of our 2 water bills that we get a year. And then we divide that figure by 12. And that's the amount that we have to organise to put aside each month. Whatever the bill is, for example, our car service, our income tax bill, any of those things, we look at those from the previous year, we add a nominal amount to it. We always add 10% to err on the side of caution. And then we take that figure from the moment we paid the last bill. We divide that by 12, and that's the amount we need to save each month. So the next part of that is, where are you going to put this? It's an essential part of your sinking funds. Where are you going to do that? There's many bank accounts that you can have multiple little savings pots. You can name them and put them in there. They're really good if you can get them. We chose not to do that. We have one fund with all of our sinking funds in it. One account, I beg your pardon, with all of our sinking funds in it. And we've got about 9 things on our sinking funds. And we know if we pay out something from that sinking fund, from our current account, we then know that we've got to take the money from the sinking fund and pop it back into the current account. Now, how you and when you move your money around is up to you, and I'll go into that in another point. Brings me on to number 9, another essential organisation skill that we really need for us, our spending plans. Now you might be thinking, well, what does that look like? We all know what a spending plan looks like for Christmas, don't we? We know when we're going to start our Christmas shopping. We know how much we're going to spend on individual gifts. We have a spending plan for, the example was, our car service. We know when that's going to happen, and we know how much it's going to cost. Well, everything can have a spending plan. We have a line on our budget that says discretionary spending, a discretionary amount. Some months it's €50, some months it's €150, depending on our income, which is variable, and how much we leave left. We always leave discretionary spending because we're great believers in budgeting for sanity. So you can get out and about and you can live a little. So we know within this month's spending plan, we can spend €33 a week in our discretionary spending. We know then we don't spend it one week, we can roll it over to the next and then have 66 in that week, or spread it amongst the other weeks. But those are spending plans. We know, for example, that we have a clothing budget. We know we have a sinking fund for that clothing budget. And the spending plan would be going back to the beginning, going back to doing that stock check and that inventory, looking at the things that we want or need. So we're never just wandering into a store or a charity store or a car boot sale or anywhere like that with absolutely no idea of what we're there for. We've got some idea. We know we might be looking for plant pots for the garden. We know we might be looking for plants. We know we might be looking for trees. But we've got a spending plan. Of course, it's not written in indelible ink and it's subject to change. But we don't just wander off and spend without thought or without some kind of a plan. So there we go. It's an essential skill for us to have some kind of a spending plan, just in the same way as we know when people's birthdays are and we know how much we're going to spend. It works for us, we're sharing it with you. Brings me very neatly to number 10, and I've called number 10 Save the Date. You could call it, if you would, Save the Day. Now that means within our essential organisation skills, we set aside some time, usually a day a week, and not all day may I add, on that day in a week, we set aside some times for our organisational skills. For us, it's Sunday. It's Sunday when we do our stock check. It's Sunday when we sit down and look at the budget. It's Sunday first thing in the morning when we take a look at our calendar, our week ahead, the month ahead. It's that Sunday, the last Sunday of the month before the last week of the month, we don't spend any money. So in that time, we're looking at our bank accounts, we're budgeting, we're balancing the books, we're consolidating everything and organising everything. And it sounds quite long-winded, but I promise you, within a couple of hours, we've wrapped up all that organisation for the week. Our calendars are ready, our diaries are ready, our shopping lists are done, our meal planning is done, and we've had a good look at the week ahead. And the more we do it, the quicker we get at it and the better we get at it. Do we remember to do it every week? No. Sometimes it might be the Monday, we think, oh heck, we haven't done this. But we do get around to doing it at least every single week. It saves us time, it keeps us on top of our budget. It's also a time where we check on with each other. Have you got any receipts? Do we need to check our spending? You went and put fuel in the car. Have you got a receipt for that, please? So I can put that in our budget book. It's just time that we hold each other to account, we check our accounts, we check our budget. And because it's become a habit of ours now to do this every week, it doesn't feel like a big or difficult task. It's quite a light-hearted task. It's something that we can do quite easily. We're sharing it with you, as I say. We never give you instructions, we just share what we do. So there we go, number 10, save the date. As always, we always hope that you find that interesting or useful in any way, or if you just enjoyed it. And if you did, go on, hit the like button. It helps us grow the channel and it gets our videos out there because it affects the algorithm. Now, this is a really good, happy, safe and sharing community. We love to hear from you. Tell me, are you organised? Are you not organised? Do you find organisation easy? Because I didn't find it easy in the past, and I'll admit to that, and I've got better at it as I've practiced it. Do you set aside a certain time in a week? Do you have budget meetings, for example? Share with us, because I know that the people within the community read each other's comments and reply to each other. It's a great community. It just leaves me to say, on behalf of Mike and I, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye for now.